All right, welcome to the 1 o'clock session of the NNP Symposium. We've got John Janeczek speaking on cats on coins. John is a member of the New York Numismatic Club, specialist in coins of the German Empire. And in this presentation, John will be discussing portrayals of both wild and domestic cats on modern coinage. This will include discussions of why the cat images were chosen and the symbolism behind them. So with that, John, I will turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Dan. All right. So I'll be speaking today about cats on coins, a subject very near and dear to my heart because I'm a lifelong cat lover and coin collector. So I've picked some coins here I think will illustrate why cats are put on coins and some of the symbolism behind them. I'm going to be examining some themes also. So I started collecting coins as a young boy, and the first cat coin I ever bought was an example of the one you see here in the middle, the Canadian 25 cents from 1967. I've always been a cat lover also, and I was at a coin show with my father, and I saw a coin with a cat on it. And it was also particularly interesting to me because I was born in 1967. So I had to have it. It probably cost all of $2. And since then, I've been keeping an eye out for coins with cats on them. They're pretty easy to find, whether at a coin show or online auctions. They're definitely out there. And also discuss why people should collect these coins. So we'll get started with the first theme. So I've divided this talk into 3 sections. The first one is heraldic representations of wild cats. Purposes of this discussion, cats are all members of the Felidae, large, small cats, domestic cats, wild cats. We talk about all different kinds of cats. But our first thing I'm going to talk about are the heraldic representations of wild cats on coins. So we have here a picture of an adult male lion. Impressive, beautiful animal. When you see an adult male lion with its mane, you think of power and strength. Another term that comes to mind is majestic. So since early times, kings have used lions as symbols of themselves, of their power and majesty. And some of the earliest coins, back 650 BC, the Lydians put lions on coins. So there's a very powerful representation of majesty and power. So that's the first theme I'm going to talk about, is to use the wild cat, specifically the lion, as representing a king, a person of great power and authority. So we'll go into the first coin here. And I think this is an excellent example of this kind of imagery. This is a Norwegian 1964 10 krona coin. In the center of the coin is the Norwegian coat of arms. You have the crown, and then you have the shield. On it is the lion. The lion is wearing the crown and carrying an axe or halberd. That's some pretty powerful imagery there. Quite obvious who is in charge here. The lion is wearing a crown, which is a symbol of authority, worn by kings and queens, is carrying an axe. Axe, in this case, I think has 2 meanings. First of all, traditionally, kings were great warriors. You think of famous kings from history. Richard the Lionheart of England was a great warrior. The Swedish king, Gustavus Adolphus, who was called the Lion of the North, was actually killed in battle, leading a cavalry charge. So part of the responsibility of the king was to defend their people in battle if necessary. So the axe, symbolism of military prowess, and also looking at it from a little different perspective, royal authority to inflict punishments on those who break the law. Think of the Roman fasces, which most of us coin collectors are familiar with from the reverse of the Mercury dime. It's a bundle of rods tied around an axe. It's carried by lictors, who were the attendants to Roman magistrates. So this symbolized that the magistrate and the state had the right to inflict corporal punishment by beating the miscreant with the rods, or actually to commit capital punishment by executing them with the axe. So this, I think, the lion holding the axe here is a great representation of the power of the state and of the king to inflict punishment, having literally the power of life and death over their subject. So, pretty powerful imagery. I think this is one of the best examples of a lion on a coin that I've seen. Now we go to Great Britain, England, the United Kingdom, a lot of terms. So I have two coins here illustrating this fact. And again, the theme remaining of power and majesty. The coin on the left is a 1911 1 shilling. So we have the imagery of a large crown. Standing on the crown is a lion wearing the crown. So again, there's no doubt who's in charge here. The lion represents the king, represents the English state at that time, the English empire, a country of great power and majesty. And this is a very good representation of the whole theme as the lion representing the king. The other side of this coin, which I don't have pictured here, is the image of the king. He's not even wearing a crown on down first, but the lion is. The coin on the right is pretty interesting. This is a modern coin. This is from 2017. The Royal Mint put out a series of 10 coins altogether. They're silver or gold. This is the example that I have in my collection. Just as an aside, every coin I'm going to show you today is actually from my collection. If it's not in my collection, I'm not even going to talk about it, with one brief exception at the end. So we have this imagery. It comes right out and says, Lion of England. So the lion represents England. So we have the lion is again wearing a crown, just like the one on the other coin, and he's holding a shield which bear the royal arms of England. And what's particularly fascinating is if you look at the shield, there are 7 lions on the shield itself. The shield is divided into quarters. The upper left hand and lower right hand side are the arms of England itself. The one on the upper right is the arms of Scotland, and the lower left is the harp, which are the arms of Ireland. So that this, in addition to the lion himself, the large image in the middle, we have a total of 7 other lions on this coin. Again, strong representation of the theme of power and majesty represented in the existence of the lion on the coin. I think this is powerful imagery. And don't forget, literacy is fairly recent. These coins have been bearing lions for hundreds and hundreds of years. In fact, the first coin, the Norwegian coin, which I'll go back to for 1 second, this motif of the lion with the crown and the axe was first used by King Eric II of Norway in 1285. So we're talking a very, very long time that the imagery of a lion has been used to portray majesty and power. So even in days when people couldn't read and write, they could look on the coin, they would see very often the king on one side and the lion on the other, and we have a very strong image of power and authority. All right, so now sticking with our lion theme here, again, I'm just using lions to represent theme of majesty. Theme on the coin on the left is 1938 Dutch 2.5 guilder. It's a crown size silver coin. Now some, again, powerful imagery here. We have the crowned shield, the coat of arms of the Netherlands, and on the shield we see again another lion. He has a sheath of arrows in his left paw. 7 arrows altogether. It's hard to count them. It is 7, and they represent the 7 provinces of the Dutch kingdom. His right paw, he carries a sword. That represents willingness to bear arms to preserve the kingdom of the Netherlands. He's also wearing a crown, which you can't really see too well there. That represents sovereignty. Well, what is a king but a sovereign? So again, the lion is representing the sovereignty of the Dutch state, willingness to defend the state, and the unity of its people. So again, very powerful imagery with this whole concept of authority and power. Now the coin on the right, this is also another interesting. So we're actually going from Europe to Africa. This is an Ethiopian, a 1-cent coin from 1944. The image of the lion on this coin is actually the Lion of Judah, which one may think of as a symbol of Judaism. But in fact, the emperors of Ethiopia claim descent from the biblical King Solomon of Israel. So they're saying we are entitled to use this image of the Lion of Judah because we are descended from Solomon and the lion of the Jewish kingdom. Now this lion is wearing a crown. Similarly, that's the imperial crown of Ethiopia, which was worn by Emperor Haile Selassie, which has a cross on top of it, and the lion is carrying a cross. Well, Ethiopia has been a Christian nation for hundreds and hundreds of years. So this is showing that the emperors of Ethiopia claiming this unbroken descent from Solomon, and that their rule is justified by God, that the church has given power to the emperor to rule people. So again, strong imagery here, and a very beautiful coin. Now, I'm a collector, as Len said, of German imperial coinage, so I had to put in, this is the only example of a 20th century German Empire coin that has a cat on it. So I had to throw this one in. This is a 2-mark coin in 1909 J from Hamburg. Coin of the free and Hanseatic city of Hamburg. Just a brief aside, although Hamburg was part of the German Empire, it was not ruled directly by a king or grand duke. It was one of the three free cities of the empire. So in this case, the lions are supporting the city arms, which shows the main gate to the old city of Hamburg. And in this case, they're representing the authority of the city government and its legitimacy, even though, again, they're not directly representing a king, but it's still the sovereignty and authority of the city, which was also a state within the German Empire. Like I said, I had to throw this one in. I needed it to represent my specialty. Okay, now I'm going to go to the second section. Realistic depictions of wild cats. So we're leaving heraldry behind, and we're going here with realistic depictions. So on the left, we have a lynx, and right, we have a cat variously known as puma, cougar, mountain lion, or catamount, both in their native habitats. The mountain lion is indigenous to North America. Lynxes are found in quite a few parts of the world, North America, Europe, and Asia. And we'll be looking at coins that bear both of these cats as we move along here. Well, so we start off with a realistic depiction, but they put realistic depiction, but this is a 1954 Australian florin, a 2-shilling coin. It's about the size of a US $half. And it shows what we safely call a geographic and zoological impossibility. We have a lion standing with a kangaroo. So this coin was struck to commemorate the royal visit of Queen Elizabeth II to Australia in 1954. And just take a minute to think about this. This coin is almost 70 years old, and Queen Elizabeth, who just passed away, had already been queen for 2 years, just showing how long her reign was. Kind of mind-boggling. But getting back to the coin, so this coin was struck to commemorate her royal visit to Australia. And it's obviously we have the lion, which represents England or the United Kingdom, and the kangaroo represents Australia. So this using these two symbols of these countries to illustrate the close ties of friendship and respect that existed between the British people and the Australian people. Since it's Australian, I guess we can call it mateship. So here's the theme where we're switching from the first theme of authority and power. This is getting more into the concept of national pride. English represented by the lion, the proud people of Australia represented by the kangaroo, showing pride and togetherness. They were both part of the Commonwealth of Nations, both had their monarch was the Queen of England, and strong ties and mutual respect. Now we're going to a very, very interesting point. And if you notice, I put the obverse for this coin on this slide, where I've previously just been showing the reverse, or the side that had the cat on it. But I wanted to show this coin's obverse because it's the first coin in a series of non-circulating legal tender bullion coins struck by the Royal Spanish Mint. And I wanted to show the obverse because it shows the obverse of the famed pieces of 8, the 8 reals struck during the heyday of the Spanish Empire. And it is a good choice to appeal to coin collectors. Most of us have a strong interest in history, so reusing this fabled obverse was a very good idea on their part. And if you notice, the coin has an interesting sort of reverse matte finish. This coin isn't a proof. This is a circulation strike. Well, it's an ounce of gold. Call it a business strike. But it has this interesting sort of reverse proof matte finish. It's very pleasing to the eye. And we turn to the reverse of the coin. It's nominated as 1.5 euro, which obviously a legal fiction because it contains an ounce of gold and it's worth far more than $1.50. But this coin has the image of the lince iberico, or Iberian lynx. Now, the Iberian lynx is a species of lynx that exists only in the Iberian Peninsula, which is to say Spain and Portugal. At the turn of the 21st century, these cats were almost extinct, with estimated about 100 were left in the wild. This was caused by humans encroaching on their territory, hunting, and also a lot of car accidents. The lynxes will obviously roam around certain areas during their hunting, and they would cross roads and be hit by cars and killed. Well, at that point, the Spanish government realized that they had a serious problem on their hands. So they took very strong and active measures to restore the Iberian lynx. Several nations bring together male and female lynxes, and once the female had her live, they would return her to the wild to raise her kittens, so they would learn how to hunt. Built under roads, territory, and barriers to make so that the lynx would be able to go under the road rather than cross the road and run the risk of being hit by a car. They banned hunting, and they took measures also to increase the rabbit population, which the rabbits were the animals that the lynxes feed on. And it's had a huge impact. Currently, the population of lynxes is believed to be over 1,100. So an 11-fold increase in the last about 20 years. And my research has indicated that the Spanish government has lost in this uniquely Spanish cat It's considered a national symbol. So we have a combination of the national pride with conservation of wildlife. Two very important concepts, certainly. This is a very beautiful coin. I'm proud to own it. Now we're sticking with the one concept we were talking about, life preservation. 2 coins from Poland. These are 1979 zloty. Again, they're non-circulating legal tender coins. They're silver. They were not designed to be circulating, just for sale to collectors. So from 1977 to 1986, for 10 years, the Polish government issued coins featuring animals native to Poland and with the theme of wildlife conservation. The word ochrona środowiska in Poland means preserve the environment, basically. So these series of coins feature things like the Polish bison, horses, birds. So it was 1982 is the turn of the lynx to be on the coin. So the coin on the left is the coin that was won the competition and for sale to collectors, and there were 20,000 of these coins produced and sold to collectors. Now the coin on the right is very interesting. Poland has this tradition when they have a coin competition, the winner is obviously put into production, but they also strike what they call probas. If you look below the lynx's tail on the right, it says a proba. The closest thing that we would term would be pattern, although it's not strictly speaking a pattern, but it's the term that they use. So these are struck in a very limited edition for sale to collectors. There were 4,100 of these coins sold, as opposed to 20,000 of the regular issue coin. That's rather high mintage for a proba. It's among the highest in the series, which I also select. But again, 2 very pretty coins, which certainly have the theme of national pride, but with a stronger connotation of the preservation of wildlife and environment. Excuse me. Now we go on to Canada. Canada, much like Spain, has its own lynx. This is the Canada lynx, which is native to North America, mostly Canada, a little bit of the northern United States. The coin on the left, I mentioned briefly before, was the coin that got me started on the collecting of cat coins, the 1967 Canadian lynx. If you see the inscription, Canada 1867 to 1967. The Confederation of Canada was founded in 1867 from what had previously been just a collection of unattached British colonies in North America, like Quebec and Ontario. So in 1867, they formed this Confederation of Canada, which is still the current nation of Canada. So in 1967, to honor this 100th anniversary, they changed the designs of all of their circulating coins and released a very attractive $20 gold piece, which wasn't for circulation, but was sold to collectors. So all the coins were changed to animals indigenous to Canada or representative of Canada. For instance, the dollar had the Canada goose, the 50-cent coin had a wolf, the 10-cent coin had mackerel, fish indigenous to waters around Canada. And in this case, the quarter got the lynx, an animal, again, indigenous to Canada. So this theme represented is the national pride. Canada is honoring a 100th anniversary of its founding by issuing coins showing native animals. So the Canadian people are proud of their native animals, and it shows a national pride and unity having these animals on these coins. Now the coin on the right, 1999, obviously, this comes right out and says lynx on it, 50-cent piece. This was non-circulating legal tender coin for sale to collectors. It was part of a 4-coin set that they released in 1999. Cats of Canada. They had the lynx and the cougar representing wild cats of Canada, and they had 2 domestic cats, the Tonkinese and the Kimrick. Kimrick is a long-haired Manx cat. We'll be talking about Manx cats in a few minutes. So again, this series of coins is showing national pride in Canada as represented by its cats. So you see these realistic depictions of wild cats come about for various reasons. Wildlife conservation, national pride. Now we're going to jump to the United States. Little known fact, perhaps, among some collectors, the United States has 2 cat coins, and they're pictured here. The reverses of both are pictured here. That's the sides that show the cats. The one on the left is the 1927 Vermont Sesquicentennial commemorative $half. It's struck to honor the 150th anniversary of Vermont declaring itself a state, as well as the Battle of Bennington, which was an important battle fought in Vermont as part of the Saratoga campaign, which saw the forces under the command of General Gates defeating the British under Burgoyne, causing them to surrender, and it was an important factor in France's intervening in the American Revolutionary War. So really a turning point in American history. So this coin shows a coin, I believe at the time the Mint described it as a catamount. But this is the animal that we call cougar, cougar, puma, or mountain lion. And you may say, why is this cat on this coin? Well, the cougar was formerly indigenous to Vermont. Sadly, human intervention has caused them to no longer be in existence in Vermont, although there's still plenty of cougars out west. But the idea of the cougar is an independent, rugged, self-reliant animal. And not to go too much into stereotypes, but the people of Vermont pride themselves on being rugged and self-reliant. Vermont, known as the Green Mountain State, is a very rugged, mountainous, heavily wooded environment. And especially, say, back in 1777, it took some tough, self-reliant people to survive in that kind of climate and that kind of environment. So this, I would call this regional pride rather than strictly national pride, evidenced by the self-reliant, tough cougar that's able to survive in the mountains, representing people with the same qualities, or hope to have the same qualities. I think they made a good choice. The coin on the right, not so much a theme here. This is the Lions Club commemorative silver dollar. This is from 2017, so very recent. The Lions Club is a charitable fraternal organization. It was founded in 1917, and so celebrated its 100th anniversary. And obviously, the people in charge of U.S. coinage decided that this anniversary was important enough to be commemorated in a silver dollar, which was an honor not given to many organizations, that's for sure. So we have here the you see the adult male lion, lioness, and cub, and this inscription celebrating 100 years of service. The obverse shows the founder of the Lions Club and other symbols of it. But this is really just an example of the symbol of the Lions Club is the lion. We decided to commemorate this club with a coin, so it really wouldn't make any sense to release the Lions Club commemorative coin without a lion. So the one theme that could be considered is, since the Lions Club is a charitable organization, and this is showing a cat family, it represents charity somehow there, or family togetherness. But still, it was nice to have a second cat coin only 90 years after the first cat coin for the U.S. So we finished looking at wild cats on coins. Now we're going to talk about domestic cats on coins. I figured what better to illustrate that than a cute little kitten, because I think most people that are willing to tune into a presentation about cats on coins like kittens. I at least hope so. I certainly do. So when we talk about domestic cats on coins, there are other nations that have had domestic cats on coins, but the bottom line is we're talking about the Isle of Man. They produced a lot. Like I just said, Canada produced that 4-coin set, Cats of Canada, 2 domestic cats, 2 wild cats. One of the domestic cats was the Kimrick. Now, a Kimrick is a long-haired Manx. A Manx is what you see here, a tailless domestic cat. Now, Manxes, there are Manxes with tails. Some have stumps of tails, some have half-length tails, but the common feature is taillessness or close to it. So, Manx cat is indigenous to the Isle of Man. What is the Isle of Man? Well, the Isle of Man is a self-governing British Crown dependency. It's situated in the Irish Sea between the United Kingdom and Ireland. It's technically not part of the United Kingdom, but it's in a strange sort of quasi-relationship. The monarch of the royal kingdom is also the ruler of the head of state of the Isle of Man. People from the Isle of Man serve in the British Armed Forces. The United Kingdom is responsible for man's external affairs and defense. So they have, it's almost part of the United Kingdom, but not quite. But one thing it has is the right to strike its own coins. The British crown pound and the Isle of Man pound have the exact same value. They're totally interchangeable. But the Isle of Man has the right to strike its own coins. It's also known for 2 other interesting facts. The Isle of Man claims to have the oldest parliament in the world, called the Tynwald, which they claim has been in existence for over 1,000 years, continuously, making it the oldest parliament in the world. And also there is a motorcycle race, the Isle of Man Tourist Trophy motorcycle race that's held on the island. Is apparently one of the biggest deals in the world of motorcycle racing. But third claim to fame is the tailless cat. So in 1970, the government of the Isle of Man, since they had the right to strike their own coins, decided to produce a coin of their native cat. So that's the piece on the left, which was released in nickel. It had an image of 150,000 circulation strikes, and I believe somewhere around 5,000 proofs. Turned out to be very popular. So in 1975, they decided to strike a second one, which is not pictured here. These, again, were both circulation strikes and proofs. Then they released a third coin in 1988 for the image of a Manx cat. And if you look at the coin on the right, it has a little image all the way to the left of a Manx cat. So this coin isn't the 1988 version. This is a 2012 when they came out with the Manx cat and kitten. Really putting the kitten there is just to increase the cuteness factor. But the government of the Isle of Man realized they had a good thing going, because collectors, and I guess people also were interested in cats, loved these coins and bought them up. So 1989 saw them decide to release a new cat coin every year. That coin had a Persian cat on it, but it also had the little Manx cat image in the background. So these coins were struck up till 2017, I believe. So what happened is the Isle of Man had they got entered into a contract with called the Pobjoy Mint, which is a private mint in the United Kingdom, which struck these coins for sales to collectors. The coins we have here, these are from later in the series. The one on the left is a Norwegian forest cat coin denominated with 1 crown. Again, you see the Manx cat. image, and one on the right is a Vermilla cat and kitten. This is the 2008 issue. Vermilla is a cross between a Persian and Burmese cat. So we've been talking about themes. The theme here is basically capitalism, profit motive. The government of the Isle of Man, in conjunction with the Pobjoy Mint, realized they could make money by selling these coins, and they proceeded to do so. And like I said, in 2017, the Isle of Man decided, for reasons that I was unable to determine exactly why, that they didn't want to produce all these coins anymore, and they ended their contract with the Pobjoy Mint, which still produces coins for a lot of other countries. But the cat coins of the Isle of Man cause a huge industry. It's very interesting. The Isle of Man produced so many different series of commemorative coins, many of which had no bearing or relationship to the Isle of Man whatsoever. Sporting events, famous aircraft, famous warships, explorers, inventions. There was a series which I didn't go into in this presentation, the history of the cat, a whole series of coins, and they were struck in copper, nickel, gold, silver, and platinum for sale to collectors. To illustrate how many different commemorative coins the Isle of Man released, in my copy of the standard catalog of world coins, 1901 to 2000, the Isle of Man section was 76 pages of coins. Very few of them being circulation strikes, almost all of them being these non-circulating legal tenders. So that's 76 pages. To contrast that, the United Kingdom, which for just about half of the 20th century was the most powerful country in the world, with a population thousands of times that of the Isle of Man, has 25 pages in the catalog. So the Isle of Man released more than 3 times as many different coins as the entire United Kingdom did in the 20th century. And not even the 20th century, we're talking from basically from 1970 to 2000. So 30 years, they filled 76 pages in the coin catalog. That's a lot of coins, really a lot of coins. I hope they made a lot of money off it. And as you can see here, they're very attractive, beautiful coins, very nice, very collectible. Some of them come in nice descriptive packaging, making them even more appealing with pictures of cats on them. But here, the theme isn't national pride, it isn't majesty and authority, it's making money. You have to respect. Okay. Well, that's pretty much all I have as far as the pictures. But section I like to call "Why Collect Cat Coins?" And I think there's a lot of reasons to collect cat coins. The first reason, finding two interests. That's what got me into it. I always loved cats and started collecting coins as a young boy. So when I first saw that 1967 Canadian quarter at that coin show, I just had to have it. Of course, the fact that it was probably $2, and I had $2 in my pocket had something to do with it. But so it's a good way for me to combine my love of cats with my collecting coins. Second, it's fun. I currently collect 20th century German Empire coinage, and I'm into the high-end stuff now. So I might walk around a coin show, even a big one of the major coin shows, and not find very much that's I need for my collection. But it's fun to walk around and rather than worry about coins worth thousands of dollars, to see an interesting cat coin, maybe from the Isle of Man or something, and spend $20 on it. It's just something fun. It adds some interest to the show. Now, fits every budget. I'm going to go into a little bit of detail here. I do really mean fits every budget. Just thinking about some of the coins that I showed you today. The 1944 Ethiopian cent with the Lion of Judah on it. You could probably pick one of those up for $1 or $2. And actually, I spent a little time yesterday on a well-known internet auction website, which will remain nameless, but we all know what it is, looking at some of the coins. And obviously, you can get coins cheaper than that sometimes. Sure. Like I said, the 1967 Canadian quarter. Basically, you're paying its value in silver, maybe $5 or $6 for a nice example. The Isle of Man cat coins, you can usually find them somewhere around $20. Obviously, the silver varieties, since they contain an ounce of silver, would probably be more like $30 or $40. They have gold pieces. You know, if you're going to spend buy an ounce of gold with a cat on it, of course you're going to spend about $2,000 because that's what an ounce of gold costs. The Spanish Iberian lynx coin I showed you cost me around $2,000 because it contains an ounce of silver, or an ounce of gold, excuse me. That's just what you're going to pay. The Lions Club, the U.S. coin, I saw those for around $40 or so in their original government package. The 1927 Vermont commemorative half dollar, you can get a low grade uncirculated for around $200. An MS-67 will set you back over $3,000 if that's what your budget calls for. And the most expensive coin I showed you was the Spanish lynx. But now we'll talk about the one coin I don't have in my collection, and I'm not going to show you a picture. I made the decision not to show pictures of any coins that I don't actually have. But if you have the time to Google it, the Una and the Lion 5 sovereign, 5-pound English coin from 1839. It is a pattern. It was on a circulation strike. There were about 400 of these coins were struck. Particularly beautiful, large gold coin. 5-pound British coin, actually well over an ounce of silver, gold, excuse me. It's a very large and impressive coin. It bears a image of a woman, the young Queen Victoria, walking with a lion. The lion is basically her guardian, bodyguard, so to speak. It's a beautiful and impressive coin. Well, last year at a heritage auction, the finest known example of this coin, NGC graded proof 66 star ultra cameo, sold for $1.44 million. So the price of a cat coin can be anywhere from $1 or $2 to almost $1.5 million. So literally fits every budget. You can find something in your budget range out there. Educational. I personally have learned more about both wild and domestic cats by my collecting. You know, find out different aspects about them. You find out a different breed of cat, and you wonder what makes it different. Is it something about its fur or its tail, or difference between an Iberian lynx and a Canada lynx? Iberian lynxes are smaller and have a few other different characteristics. So it's a way to learn more about cats if you're a cat person like I am. And the last one, I don't know, maybe a little far-fetched, but appeal to potential young numismatists. If you have a young relative, maybe a grandchild or a niece or nephew that loves cats, maybe give them a cat coin. You might be able to develop a collection out of it. Show them the coin, say, oh, yeah, this is just like your kitty cat. Maybe it'll work. Obviously, we know we need more young numismatists in this hobby, so I guess anything's worth a try. Okay, well, I hope that you enjoyed my talk. Thank you for tuning in on this Saturday, and here are pictures of my 3 cats, Charlie, Cookie, and Missy. So, actually, I'm kind of surprised at least one of them didn't come around. Usually Missy comes around when I'm looking at that ANS meeting, but I guess she took the day off today. So that's all I have. So, man, over to you.
All right. Thanks a lot, John. Yeah, the Una and the Lion is just the last few years, it's been gaining tremendous popularity, and the gold proofs are really quite spectacular.
Actually, at that same auction, a coin that couldn't even be graded, it just proof details, sold for, I believe, $110,000.
Sure. Yeah. All right. You can enter questions into the Q&A. Also like to remind everyone that video from this event and all NNP Symposium events will be available in 2 to 3 weeks. Anyone who registered will get an email with the details, so look for that. We have one question here. Do you also collect cat medals?
I do not. I stick to actual coins, although, to be honest, some of these non-circulating legal tender issues are coins in name only, but I don't collect cat medals. So I guess if I saw one that was appealing to me, I would probably buy it.
Yeah, that's really true. I mean, these are coins that were not meant to circulate, so they are effectively medals.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few different ones that are like the Canadian border. That was a circulation coin. The Ethiopian 1 cent, the English shilling, but most of them were for sale to collectors.
Yeah. All right, next question. Other than the original Canadian quarter, do you have a favorite cat coin?
I guess it'd be the 1927 Vermont sesquicentennial. I really like the design, and the one I have was a gift from my wife, Christmas present. So
Nice.
That'd be my favorite. And the Canadian Lynx is partially my favorite because it was struck in 1967, and I was born in 1967.
All right. All right, looks like oh, we did get one more question. What are some of the oldest cat and lion coin designs besides the Lydian Electrum stater?
Oh, off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you. I'm not an expert in ancients, but I'm sure there are quite a few. Because, as I said, the image of the lion as king of the beasts, representing the human king, is one very strong throughout history. And a king to show his power and authority, basically co-opting a very powerful image. I couldn't really answer that question other than the which are among the first coins ever made in Electrum.
Okay. All right. I think that may be it on the questions. So as always, I want to thank our sponsors, the Eric P. Newman Numismatic Education Society, for underwriting this event. And as a reminder to all the attendees, our next event will be in conjunction with the Central States Show in April of 23. That'll be a hybrid event. So we'll continue to support online presentations, and we'll have some live ones as well from the convention center that will appear on NNP Symposium. All right, John, thank you very much for presenting today.
You're welcome, Len.
All right, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Bye.